I'm sorry you had to see that. But now that you have, question, is it harmless fun or is it actually rewiring our brains? Stick around because you won't believe what I found out about Brainrot. It's all over every timeline, every forum post. Hell, it's even invading the real world.
To the Sigmas of Australia, I say that this goofy-air government have been capping.
Brainrot has become one of the buzzwords of 2024, right next to AI, and yet I feel like most people don't actually know much about it. Well, I've thrown myself into the internet coal mines, doing hours of research and going hard at work to provide you with an answer. I'll be honest, what I found low-key freaked me out, and it's crazier than I expected. So without further ado, let's see if we've all lost the plot and uncover Brainrot. So just so we're on the same page, what the heck is Brainrot? You probably won't be surprised to know that Brainrot is a meme term that doesn't exist. But if you're going with the most common definition of Brainrot is a slang term that refers to the negative effects of excessive internet use and the cognitive decline that can result. The idea is that consuming this brain slop on a regular basis can essentially lobotomize your brain. Some symptoms of Brainrot include, but aren't limited to, difficulty focusing on tasks for extended periods, feeling mentally exhausted after being on your phone or computer, difficulty remembering information or retaining what you just read, and a constant desire to switch between tasks or apps for stimulation. This you? Well, this video's got you covered. To properly understand Brainrot, let's break it down into its core fundamental parts. Starting with... Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that plays a key role in how we feel pleasure, motivation, and reward. Think of it as a chemical messenger in your brain that acts as your hype man whenever you do anything. You eat a disgustingly good pizza, dopamine stonks go up. You finally meet your weight loss goal, dopamine stonks go crazy. When dopamine is released, it creates a feeling of enjoyment and satisfaction, motivating us to repeat actions that produce it. Naturally, if we feel good, we want more of that good thing. So, dopamine sounds pretty cool. It'd be a shame if something were to get up. A big chunk of Brainrot is the use and abuse of this neurotransmitter. When you engage in Brainrot activities like social media, gaming, binge watching, dopamine is constantly released, reinforcing those behaviors as pleasurable. It's actually scarily similar to how the body reacts to certain drugs. Having a hobby that emulates you under an addictive drug sounds pretty terrible. But if you're a business, that's the best thing you could possibly hear, because you're ensuring that you have a constant stream of users who will always come back to your service. Whether or not that service is actually good for the users is irrelevant. What's important is you've met your monthly active user quota. These companies have paid for the best of the best when it comes to behavioral scientists, psychologists, and AI engineers to make sure that your brain is hooked, and they've pretty much discovered the secret formula to do this. Bite-sized, highly stimulating content. Picture this. You're feeling hungry, so you go to an all-you-can-eat buffet. But, to your surprise, this buffet is special. And it's an endless buffet filled with high sugar snacks instead of full meals. Each snack is designed to give you a quick hit of sweetness, just enough to satisfy you momentarily, but not enough to make you full. Another thing is that the selection keeps changing. One moment it's sour sweets, the next it's sugary desserts. So you're constantly tempted to try just one more. Every time you taste a new snack, your brain gets a quick jolt of dopamine, which keeps you coming back for more. Before you know it, you've joined the high-calorie club, eating disgusting amounts of sugar without realizing how much time has passed. The only difference between the sweet shop and TikTok is instead of snacks switching from sour to sweet, you have content switching from cute pet videos to thirst traps. Just like how sugar gives you a short burst of energy followed by a crash, social media keeps you engaged through short, highly stimulating videos that deliver ever-changing content. The rapid transitions from one video to another mimic the allure of a buffet, where each small treat gives you just enough pleasure to keep going, but never quite enough to feel satisfied. This cycle of constant novelty and stimulation creates an addictive feedback loop that keeps users scrolling for hours. And this is why doom scrolling is so effective. Doom scrolling triggers dopamine in a way similar to addictive behaviors. Our brain's reward systems are activated by novelty, and the constant stream of new, often alarming information keeps us hooked. Even though the news may be negative, the brain still releases dopamine because it perceives novelty and unpredictability, which keeps us engaged. So, how does this contribute to Brainrot? Well, normally dopamine is released in moderate amounts when we achieve our goals or experience something pleasurable. However, when you engage in activities that offer quick, repetitive hits of dopamine, such as scrolling social media or binge watching videos, the system becomes overwhelmed and breaks. When dopamine is repeatedly overstimulated, the brain tries to maintain balance by reducing its sensitivity to dopamine, which is very similar to how the body builds a tolerance to drugs. In other words, the more you bombard your brain with brain slop, the less responsive your dopamine receptors become, requiring greater amounts of stimulation to receive the same pleasurable effect. Over time, the brain adapts by lowering the baseline level of dopamine production. So when you're not engaged in high stimulation activities, your brain can feel like it's in a dopamine deficit state.
Sometimes I wish I was a cloud, just floating along.
Since the brain becomes less sensitive to dopamine, activities that usually bring emotional balance, like spending time with friends, exercising, or enjoying nature, become less effective. This leads to symptoms of anhedonia, an inability to feel pleasure, leaving normal everyday activities feeling dull and less satisfying.
So what is anhedonia and who experiences it? Anhedonia is essentially an inability to feel pleasure. It is when you are doing something or experiencing something that you used to enjoy but are no longer able to feel that joy or pleasure while doing or experiencing it. Many scientists believe that anhedonia is not necessarily black and white in terms of completely getting rid of emotion. You may feel no happiness at all, but you may also just find that your positive emotions such as happiness are dulled.
Ever wonder why you feel like a zombie some days? Well, this is probably why. Which neatly brings us to our next topic. I want you to take a moment and think back to the last exam you ever did. And I mean really think about it. Think about how engaged your brain was. Think about the pressure. Maybe you were that guy that everyone was cheating off of, so it was smooth sailing. Or maybe you were the all-nighter guy, drinking Monster through a Bane mask just to stay awake. Maybe you dealt with the pressure well. Or maybe you shit the bucket. Literally.
I thought it was a fart, sir. I thought it was safe.
Regardless, once the test was over, do you remember how your brain felt afterwards? For most people, I'm willing to bet that the feeling was exhaustion. The feeling of being so overwhelmed, you just wanted to go to your room and sleep forever. Now imagine that feeling, but times it by 10 and make it constant. And this is what Brainrot does to you. High stimulation activities like what we've previously talked about before constantly engage your brain's attention and decision-making processes, even if it doesn't feel like it. This creates a cognitive overload where your brain struggles to keep up with incoming information. The brain needs downtime to process information, but when it's constantly stimulated, it lacks the necessary breaks to recharge. This can even lead to decision fatigue. Studies into decision fatigue have given explanations into why judges make worse decisions over time. When you're constantly bombarded with decision after decision, it becomes mentally taxing on your brain. Should I watch this video or should I watch this video?
Sticking at your yacht for the Rizzler. You're so skibbity.
As you overload your brain, it becomes increasingly hard to pay attention to things that matter, which leads us nicely to I'm willing to bet that you've seen a social media video like this before, with content at the top and Subway Surfers at the bottom. If you're like me, you're wondering, why the hell do people do this? Sometimes the video amps it up and adds even more screens to the madness. Like seriously, we can't be that attention starved, right? Spoiler alert, yeah, we are, but it's not our fault and I'll explain why. The idea is that this type of content is aimed at a younger Zoomer generation, a generation with attention spans so small, you need to give them additional stimuli when you present them with information. Otherwise they get bored and leave your video. This sounds ridiculous, but it is based on arousal theory, and judging by how many people do it, it must be working. So, is the situation that bad? A study by Microsoft found that the average human attention span has dropped from 12 seconds in the year 2000 to just 8 seconds today, which, fun fact, is shorter than a goldfish. Like, that's crazy. You don't even compare to him, bro.
I'm stronger, I'm smarter, I'm better, I am better!
Our multitasking culture encourages juggling multiple tasks at once, whether it's at work, school, or in daily life. Thanks to smartphones and the internet, it's easier than ever to stay connected and switch between different sources of information. With constant notifications and instant messages, we're always pulled away from what we're doing to check this shiny latest new distraction. The downside? Multitasking drains our mental energy. Studies have shown that frequent multitasking has negative effects on your working memory and overall cognitive function, which is hilarious to me because now I'm imagining the reason people are saying skibbity in Ohio is just because they've actually forgot the words they're trying to say.
That you
What the Sigma?
I didn't want to leave you with just doom and gloom though. In fact, I don't want to leave you period. Please subscribe, click the bell. I promise I'll do the decision you make today. I wanted to give you guys actionable solutions to this newfound brainrot pandemic. Because if you made it this far into the video, you're probably the best person ever and you deserve nice things. First thing is to limit your screen time. The internet is a magical place and has done amazing things for society. Don't get me wrong. But it's also the same internet that Elon Musk gave to a society and literally transformed them into gooners. That could be too much of a good thing. My personal recommendation is think of all the things that are important to you in your life. Your friends, your family, your goals. Brainrot time should never overtake the time you devote to those aspects of your life. In fact, if you want to go even further beyond, you can use apps to limit the amount of time you spend on problematic apps, or set reminders to limit the amount of time you spend binge watching Netflix or video games. Another tip I have is to disable notifications on Brainrot apps. These apps should never tell you when to use them. The app is the tool, not you. My other piece of advice is to touch grass. Go outside, caress it, sing it careless whispers and passionate meow. Spend less time chronically online and spend more time with friends and loved ones. Go get your dopamine the old-fashioned way and make some amazing memories with amazing people you love. It's crazy to me how the internet has made the world more interconnected than ever, and yet people still report strong feelings of loneliness. All that time you spend online being in a social media ant farm is time that could be spent with loved ones or even meeting new people that you could give that title to. I'm not saying time online is bad, trust me, I've been there. But again, there could be too much of a good thing. Have you reached out to that person you've been meaning to message? Have you finally set up that reunion with an old friend? Don't let brainrot content and endless scrolling hold you back any longer. You've seen in this video exactly how it's impacting your mind. So do yourself a favor and give your brain the break it deserves. Disconnect, even if it's just for a moment, and watch your life transform. Your future self and your mind will thank you. Comment down below your brainrot rabbit story. Brainrot rabbit, what the fuck? Comment down below any experience you've had with brainrot and give me a shout on future topics you'd like to see me cover next. Or you could just let me know how your day is going. I don't mind, I don't bite. With that being said, this has been Meta. I hope you have a fantastic day. Wherever you are, stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you in another video. Peace.